Hey, it's Tom ZEEB with Traction Real Estate Mentors, and in this quick video, I'm going to answer a question I got from one of my students. Is it still safe and wise to invest in cities and urban areas in the age of COVID? Keep it rolling and stay tuned. Oh, it's a fair question given what's happened lately, that there seems to be a lot of flight from urban areas, from cities. So I'm in New York City today, cover the ultimate city of all cities, and have people been leaving? Well, I'll tell you, it is massively much more quiet here than it used to be. And since it's massively more quiet, because a lot of people are looking at alternate options. A lot of businesses don't need to be in the city anymore. They've realized they don't need to be in the city anymore. Any sort of problem they had with telecommuting, it's now gone. They're willing to let their people telecommute, so why have very expensive real estate in the city and push everyone into the city? Now, that's going to hurt things for a while, but quite honestly, I think given time, things will bounce back. It's always a matter of how much time do you want to give it to bounce back, though. That's a big issue. Can you wait a decade? If you're going to buy and hold something, is it going to? Do you want to sit around for a decade and wait for the price to recover, or do you want to speculate and buy into something to be able to sit on it for those 10, 15 years until things do recover? Look, it's 2020. Everyone's putting up with the COVID mess, but 19 years ago, it was September 11, 2001, and that also caused a bit of a problem in the city, and people speculated that things were going to move out. And what's interesting is that things did recover when they were given time, but there's a major difference. Things recovered because there wasn't as viable of an alternative. And these days, that viable alternative is high-speed broadband. Most people have very fast internet connections and don't need to be in an office, don't need to be in the city. And so that's changing things a little bit as well. So I think this time I'd be cautious about urban investments unless your city's numbers are pushing quite good. The classic cities, the big cities like New York City, have been in a little bit of trouble for a while. But when you start looking at those second-tier cities, those third-tier cities, those are on the rise because of this. So you always got to remember, this is true with any of these major crises or things that come up, is that there is always winners and there are always losers, and it's happening at the same time. So while a lot of people look at something and think that, hey, everybody must be losing, or it's all over for this, or it's never going to recover, things are never going to be the same again, that's not true for everybody at the same time. You start thinking about it, it's not true that everybody is losing right now. There are plenty of people that are doing better than ever. Think about some of the businesses that do better than ever. Mortgage brokers, off the charts. The second-tier cities, if you're a real estate agent or a settlement attorney, off the charts. On the other hand, there are pretty big losers right now as well. I wouldn't want to be a restaurant owner or bar owner. Those kind of things are really hurting, or any sort of business that's been shut down or deemed non-essential, whatever they seem to think that means at any given moment. So you need to think about these things when you're investing, particularly the region you're investing in. If you're going to go residential investing, does it make sense? Are you going to get the appreciation that you think you're going to get there or not? And commercial, I'd be very careful with commercial investing as well. It may not be the right time given where you are. Again, depends on your area. Keep that in mind as you go. So my thoughts, yes, things generally tend to bounce back, and they can bounce back big, and you'll be happy that you made you made a decision to hold. But can you handle the holding period? Because if it takes 5, 10, 15, 20 years before you're getting that level of recovery, that level of bounce, can you withstand it for that long? Maybe it's appropriate I'm having this conversation in New York City. Those of you that have seen me speak before, I talk about my first investment property being in New York City, in Brooklyn, and it was a 6-unit building. And I'll tell you, what we wound up buying that for versus what it's worth today is crazy. The thing is, I still don't own it, right? I lost it and had to get rid of it. And people say, oh, what a shame. If you would have stolen that, you could have made a fortune. But, well, sure, it's gone up a couple $1 million in about 20 years, about 19 years, but there's safer, better, nicer ways of making that amount of money in that amount of time. So I personally don't have any regrets on that one, because when you start to have tenants getting physically violent with you, when you're going to collect rent, that's not exactly my idea of a good time. And can you, again, could I have withstood those issues for 5 or 10 years before finally the appreciation started to happen? No, probably not. And honestly, you have no guarantee that you know that that appreciation would occur. It's really easy to sit here now, today, 2020, and look backwards to 2001 and say, hey, oh yeah, well, I mean, obviously we should have held on to that. The thing is, you don't know at the time what's gonna happen. You really don't know how good the recovery is gonna be, what's gonna happen. You don't know what's happening in the world. So I don't like investments that are speculative in nature. I'd rather take an investment that I know I make money on the buy, I make money on my way in. I don't want to speculate about what might happen in the future, because you just never know what's going to happen in the future. So those are my thoughts on what's happening in the market in big cities and whether or not you should invest in them now or focus on areas that you think are on the rise. So if you rank them out kind of A, B, C, and D, I love those C areas that are starting to become Bs. That is a massive amount of appreciation. It's really good, rather than being in the A areas that are already awesome and already happening, because there's not that much more room for those to grow. If you enjoyed this video and got a lot out of it, go ahead and click on the like button below and share it with a friend. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and hit the notify bell so you'll be notified when I produce more great videos for you. For Traction Real Estate Mentors from Manhattan, it's Tom ZEEB, signing off.